On today's episode of PDubs Arcade Loft, we're going to take a look at the Unico Pocket. That's right, this is a brand new retro gaming handheld by the makers of the MVSX and Neo Geo Mini with 40 licensed SNK Neo Geo games included. But for a $79 price tag, is this product even worth it? Some other products made by Unico that you may have heard of include the Neo Geo Arcade Stick, the MVSX 3/4 scale home arcade, as well as several versions of the Neo Geo Mini arcade console. Some of these products have been overwhelmingly received positively. Unico also makes arcade monitor replacements. That's right, the Phoenix Monitor series falls under their banner as well. Considering the other form factors that Unico has released licensed SNK Neo Geo games on, it's really not a surprise that they're dipping their toes into the handheld market, but unfortunately, in today's day and age, the handheld market is very, very crowded. If you're going to dip your foot in these waters, you better come with a banger. And although Unico did send me this product for the purpose of making a review video, thank you very much. As you can see, my box is labeled sample. I'm still going to give you my honest feedback on this particular product. Yes, it includes 40 classic licensed SNK Neo Geo games, and especially if you are a fighter fan, a fan of SNK fighter games, it's going to have a lineup that you really, really like. The packaging is terrible, just this ugly yellow box, nice little welcome letter for reviewers, as well as an instruction booklet that's about 16 pages, but guess what? Only the first 2 pages are in English, and then the rest are the same information in other languages. They do provide a USB-A to USB-C cable for charging this particular handheld, as well as they offer 2 different versions for you to order on their website, links below if you're interested. An all-black version of this handheld, as well as the one they sent me. I got the silver version with the colored buttons. What is nice about the colors on the buttons is they do remind you of your traditional SNK arcade control panel buttons. Just doing an overview of the handheld, you'll notice on the bottom you have a headphone jack as well as that USB-C port for charging, but there's no micro SD slot on this anywhere. The D-pad feels pretty good actually. It's pretty decent D-pad. No complaints about that. It's got a Unico logo on it, but where's all the SNK Neo Geo branding? Why is this thing not in a red and white variant? The only thing that kind of makes you feel SNK around here or on this device is the color of those A, B, C, D buttons, which all feel really, really good. There's 2 analog sticks. The right analog stick you're never going to use. There's a menu button right next to it. But you'll notice on the top of it, you just have your shoulder buttons, your on-off button, as well as your volume toggle button, but that's it. Without the ability to expand this handheld by adding more games via a micro SD card, that already puts this in the loser's circle. Now, this is a Linux-based device that does have a ARM quad-core Cortex A53 CPU, so enough power to run these Neo Geo games. Also, it has a 4-inch IPS screen, 960 x 720 aspect ratio, so it's already in a 4:3 aspect ratio. The buttons themselves feel pretty good on the front of the device. The analog sticks and the D-pad feel fine. Me personally, I'm not a fan of the shoulder buttons. As you can see, it takes about a minute for it to boot up from when it's powered off. The included user interface, in my opinion, isn't that great. Just some thumbnail tiles that you cycle left and right for all 40 games. You can hit the settings button when you're outside of a game. You could adjust the brightness level. You could adjust the languages. You could also change the button mapping, which is nice to have. Nice little feature there. As well as you could check and see what system firmware you're on. It comes on firmware 1.0, but there's no internet, there's no Wi-Fi. If there's going to be any firmware updates, it's going to be through that USB-C cable. And then, of course, you can restore all your defaults. If you select a game to play with the A button from the main menu, you press the select button to insert your coin or token, and then you press the start button in order to launch the game. Pretty easy. You can then hit the menu button, and you'll see your in-game settings. They do have save states, which is a very nice win, having 6 different save state options that you can save for the games. That way you could take breaks and all that kinds of stuff. And again, you could adjust the brightness level as well as you could adjust the screen. Now, these games are already on a 4:3 screen, showing in a 4:3 aspect ratio. You could also add vertical scan lines or horizontal scan lines. Taking a look at the horizontal scan lines, I actually don't think they look too bad. It's going to be a little hard here for my camera to pick it up, all those thick black lines there, that's from the camera, but right here you can kind of see it. They look okay, nothing to write home about. Going through some gameplay testing, I tested several games, including playing the games with the D-pad and playing the games with the left analog stick. Again, that right analog stick has no business being on this device. You're never going to use it. And what I can say is, for the most part, the game's played pretty well. Not really going to complain there. The emulation seemed pretty good, as well as the feeling of the D-pad, as well as the analog stick, especially for playing the fighting games with the analog stick, I found responsive and okay to play. But the issue, though, again, is the lack of game expandability. We're stuck with the 40 licensed games. And for the same price, for $80, $90 on Amazon, I can buy Ambernick devices, or heck, even the Neo Geo Mini Arcade console, and get a little bit more bang for my buck, as well as the ability to add more games. And when it comes to the handheld audio, this only has one speaker included, but I found the sound to be acceptable. I really don't have any issues with the screen. I think the display looks really nice. Nice little IPS display. And of course, there are a ton of games on here that are fighter games. So if you like those fighting games from SNK Neo Geo, you might be a fan of that. Again, there's a little bit less games on this particular handheld than there is on the MVSX home arcade machine that has 50, as well as the Neo Geo Mini arcades. And of course, those other systems have the ability to expand and add more games. So this not having that ability, especially as of right now today, really makes this a tough sell. I mean, it honestly feels like this was somebody else's handheld that maybe Unico, maybe it was an abandoned handheld project, or somebody made this handheld for some other reason, and Unico decided to pick this one up and stick these licensed SNK games on it. Again, that's just the feeling I get when I'm checking this thing out. Again, also not having an HDMI out or any ability to have micro SD card support really killed this thing for me personally. So for my final thoughts, is it worth it after tinkering with this thing for a bit? Well, in my opinion, I really don't think so. And I understand Unico sent this to me for review, but when I first saw this thing and it got announced, I wasn't excited for this particular handheld because in my opinion, there's much better options out there that'll give you access to playing many more games. The lack of expandability really kills this for me, as well as there's really nothing on this handheld, minus the button colors on the gray version, to make me even think that this is an SNK Neo Geo machine, and it doesn't pull on any nostalgia or things like that. In my opinion, this is just some standard fare that got thrown out there, and at 80 bucks, I can't highly recommend it. Maybe one day if these go on sale for like less than 40 bucks, and if you like officially licensed SNK Neo Geo games, maybe this particular handheld would be for you. But in my opinion, if you're going to spend that much money, I would recommend picking up something else off the internet. Give me your thoughts, feedback, reactions below. If you enjoyed this product review, give me a thumbs up on the way out, and thank you for subscribing.